Pranita to discuss few things with you, and she will be discussing it. Just to tell you in advance, I have asked her to also discuss with you how was she coping up when prelims were not going her way. That is also what you need to know, that she didn't qualify two prelims. So what was her strategy? What did she do? And discuss with you she will discuss with you few things, and after that, whatever questions you will have, you can always ask. So feel free to do that. Pranita, this is a small token from
Thank
our
you so
side.
much, sir.
Lots of congratulations and lots
Thank you
of
so much, sir.
blessings
Thank
from
you
our
so
side.
much, sir.
So Pranita has ranked 42 this year. The best part was that I think when you got your result, you were in Cambridge.
Yes,
So,
sir.
so she was not even in India. And I received her message. In India's time, it was a different early morning. And
Yes,
I got
sir.
her message and can't tell you that was the best morning message. I got her, sir, I have qualified, I'd been in your class, and so on.
Yes,
And
sir.
we had met only online before today. We had talked on telephone, met
Yes,
online.
sir.
So even we are meeting offline today. So I'm asking Pranita, then she'll share her. Give it to me, please.
Thank you, sir.
देकर दे देते हैं. The economist inside me won't go away.
So, as sir mentioned, my name is Pranita Dash. First of all, a brief introduction. I belong to the state of Odisha, and I have done my schooling from Odisha itself. I then went to St. Xavier's College, Calcutta, to pursue my economics honors. Currently, I'm also pursuing MPhil in economic research from University of Cambridge. So there's a story behind, why I went to University of Cambridge. So this was actually my third attempt at the examination. So it's been a long, arduous journey. So what happened was in 2020 and 2021, I had not been able to clear the preliminary stage itself. So after my 2021 failure, I was so devastated that I told my family that this is not for me. I'm giving up on this examination. Let me just apply abroad. Let me pursue academia. And I frantically, applied to this university, that university, and fortunately, got accepted into University of Cambridge. So this is my story, I would say. But so what happens is after you are totally devastated, uh, there's this intuition that you get that maybe only the very very talented, very very knowledgeable people get through this examination, and maybe I'm not one of them. But somewhere this examination is such that uh, it also gives you this calling that maybe just one more time, and that's what happened with me. I said I have already done my job at applying, so I have nothing else to do. So maybe appear one more time at this examination with all the sincerity and all the hard work. So 2022 was again my best attempt, the most prepared attempt, and I'll tell you why it was. So, yeah, so this has been my overall journey. Now, because I've been told that you guys are in foundation classes, you will be appearing for preliminary examination next year, right? So I would like to share a few of my learnings from the failures that I have seen. So if you are studying a lot, that's really good. But then don't forget to revise. Revision, revision, revision. It's the key. I made sure that I have revised at least 8 to 9 times a particular subject. So what I used to do was like I took the five major subjects: the polity part, economy, history, environment. So I took all of those subjects. I wrote it in a piece of paper, and then I used to give 5 to 6 boxes alongside every subject. And then as and when I used to finish one revision, I used to tick mark. So that, kept me in the loop. I was always, stressed about not completing as many revisions because I could see that box not being, ticked. So, so many people ask me that how to manage stress, how to manage this dejection, demotivation. I would say that understand that stress is a part of this journey. There is no way you can manage stress until and unless you are a very very spiritual person or something. So understand it's a part of the process, and that will relieve half of your stress. just understand that everybody who is preparing for this examination is going through this exact feeling. So that keeps you a little, I would say, not stress free, but a little more, you get some belief in yourself, belief in your abilities. uh, the next learning that I would say that don't solve a lot of tests. Okay, I have seen so many people suggesting about solving 100 plus test papers before prelims. Don't really fall into that trap. Take one test series, but the catch is that you should follow it very religiously. If you are giving one test, come back home, analyze it properly, read the solutions, and try to understand where you went wrong. So that is where it will make all the difference. uh, Next, I would talk about, like, everybody mentions about the book lists, the strategies. I'm not going to share all of that, because you might find that on on a lot of websites, or or YouTube videos. So I'll not mention that. But one thing that I faced was one challenge that I faced was that my mental sanity during the prelims exam was lost. I was all over the place. If I was solving question number 2, I was thinking of question number 1 that I have not been able to solve. So the focus was somewhere missing. So yeah, it's important to have the right mindset, the right attitude when you are attempting the prelims papers. So what happened was, I had not been able to sleep the entire night before the preliminary examination, and I had read all these 10 things must do 10 things before prelims. I had checked so many websites, and they had mentioned that अगर आप सोए नहीं तो गया prelims paper. तो मेरे भी दिमाग में वही था कि ओ शिट, आई हैव नॉट बीन एबल टू स्लीप, हाउ विल आई मैनेज द पेपर. But what happened was, I had already told myself that I'll not think about the results, I'll just go give my best in the exam and come. So what happened was, when I reached the center, I bought an energy drink, and I started drinking it, and that kind of had a placebo effect that okay, I'm not sleepy anymore. Now I'll just go give my best. So I went, I sat, and I saw so many people, just mentally revising and all. And that again demotivated me. That ये क्या, पहले नींद पूरी नहीं हुई, अब this. So what am I going to do? Uh, बट वहाँ पे एक बहुत अच्छा कोट लिखा था वो बोर्ड में कि शिक्षित व्यक्ति हर जगह परिचय पाता है, ऐसा कुछ. सर, आई एम वेरी बैड एट हिंदी. तो ऐसा कुछ लिखा था, एंड दैट रियली बूस्टेड मी. दैट गेव मी सच अ कॉन्फिडेंस बूस्ट दैट पढ़ाई तो किया है, जितना मेरे से हो सका ड्यूरिंग द प्रेपरेशन, आई हैव डन इट. So why to just unnecessarily burden myself with these thoughts that so many people have maybe prepared more, or what am I going to do if I don't clear? So let me not burden myself. Us time pe actually I started to become a little spiritual. I started to pray all the lords that I believed in, and for 5 minutes I was just thinking of them. And suddenly when I opened my eyes, I I got this confidence that okay, let me start solving the paper. And this is one major thing that I would like to say, that you should treat one question at a time in the prelims examination. You should not carry the baggage of an unsolved question to the next question that you are solving, because that totally distorts your focus, your calmness during the examination. So try to avoid that. uh, yeah, this is all for prelims. I would say that these are the mistakes that I have done, but I would also like to share share how I try to overcome these challenges. So first, I mentioned that I had studied a lot, but I was not revising. So what I did was, this time, 4 months before prelims, again, many toppers will tell you that 3 months before prelims is enough. But if you feel you are a little underprepared for prelims, just give 1 month more. There is no harm in studying a little more for the examination you feel very underconfident about. So so 4 months before prelims, I was totally focused on it. And what happened was, I had thought in my mind, and when I was analyzing the past year questions and even the paper that I had not been able to clear, I saw that 30 to 35 questions can be solved by just doing the static subjects. And I just saw that even in static questions, I had done so many, questions wrong in my previous attempts. So that is not justified. So next, what I did was in those 4 months, 80% of the time I devoted to static, and 20% of the time I dedicated to current affairs, newspapers. So, you know, when I was solving 2022 paper, I understood that a lot of questions I was able to solve from my static knowledge. And that really helped me. So that is one learning I would pass on to you. Uh, Again, when I mention about revision, वो बहुत monotonous हो जाता है. One person is not able to, read a subject continuously, consistently. So what I used to do was, uh, जो करंट अफेयर्स है वो दैट इज़ द ट्रिकीस्ट पार्ट टू रिवाइज. तो मैंने जो भी मैं मैगजीन पढ़ती थी, कोई भी एक इंस्टीट्यूट का आप उठाइए, तो जो भी मैं मैगजीन पढ़ती थी उसका जो कंटेंट पेज था, जो इंडेक्स जिसमें होता है, तो वहाँ पे ही मैंने कुछ कीवर्ड्स आई हैड मेंशन्ड. सो इफ द टॉपिक इज अबाउट G20, देन उसी के साइड में ही आई यूज टू मेंशन कब फॉर्म हुआ है, कौन से कंट्रीज है थोड़ा, बिकॉज आई बिलोंग टू ओडिशा, तो मैं ओडिया में कुछ न्यूमोनिक याद कर ली. सो दैट रियली हेल्प्ड मी टू प्रिपेयर दैट टॉपिक होलिस्टिकली. सो क्या हुआ कि आई हैव ऑलरेडी रेड what is there in the magazine. Okay, now the next time I come to revise, I will only see that index page. और वो इंडेक्स पेज से, वो कीवर्ड से मुझे फिर याद आता था कि क्या कंटेंट है वो टॉपिक में. सो दैट इज़ अ नाइस वे टू रिवाइज. यू कैन इम्प्लीमेंट दैट. Another thing is, it's very important to revise in iterations. Like ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि आप पॉलिटी पढ़ लिए फिर 2 महीने बाद आप उसको वापस आ रहे हैं. तो पॉलिटी हिस्ट्री, अब पॉलिटी प्लस हिस्ट्री अगर आपने 5 दिन पढ़ा, तो नेक्स्ट 5 दिन अगर आप कोई और पढ़ रहे हैं सब्जेक्ट्स, तो नेक्स्ट 5 days अगेन कम बैक टू पॉलिटी हिस्ट्री. तो आइटरेशंस में रिविजन्स करना इज़ वेरी नेसेसरी. एंड मेरे एक्सपीरियंस से आई विल से दैट रिविजन करिए, फोकस्ड रहिए प्रीलिम्स में, प्रीलिम्स एग्जाम के टाइम में, और थोड़ा कॉन्फिडेंस रखिए, थोड़ा बिलीफ रखिए इन योर एबिलिटीज़. आई नो इट साउंड्स वेरी प्रीची कि मैं आके अभी बोल रही हूँ, लेकिन दैट इज़ व्हाट हैज़ मेड द डिफरेंस, दैट यू एंटर द एग्जामिनेशन लाइक you will clear it. And I think I was mentioning it to sir that surround yourself with people who don't really make UPSC a huge deal. कि ये आपको एक अल्टीमेट चीज़ है जो आप करेंगे तो पता नहीं आप कहाँ ही पहुँच जाएंगे. Don't surround yourself with those kind of people. Surround yourself with people who tell you that if you clear the examination, it's really good. But if your end goal is to serve the society, then there are many avenues by which you can actually do. तो मैं ये प्रीच नहीं कर रही हूँ, आई एक्चुअली प्रैक्टिस्ड इट, बिकॉज मैंने भी उसी के लिए ही आई वेंट अब्रॉड. मैंने सोचा था कि दिस इज़ गोइंग टू बी माई लास्ट अटेम्प्ट, एंड इफ आई एम नॉट एबल टू क्लियर UPSC, आई विल स्टिल try to be involved in policy making and be of some meaning to the society. So ये भी आप कर सकते हो, because that will make your journey very smooth. It will make your journey easier. You are not always reminding yourself कि नहीं हुआ तो क्या हुआ, नहीं हुआ तो क्या होगा. So those feelings actually give you this sense of dejection that I think no aspirant should go through. So yeah, this is all my like insights from for prelims. Coming to mains, should I mention about me? Okay. So yeah, this was the first mains that I was appearing for. So मेंस के लिए क्या हुआ कि मैंने भी क्लासेस ज्वाइन किए थे, तो आई हैड गुड क्लास नोट्स विथ मी. पर the catch is to add on to it with whatever good examples you find from newspapers, from any current affairs sources, और आपने ही कुछ इंटरनेट से देख लिया, और मे बी कोई रिलेटिव आपको कुछ अच्छा इन्फॉर्मेशन दे रहा है तो आपने नोट्स में ऐड कर लिया. सो आई यूज टू ट्राई टू डू ऑल ऑफ दैट ओनली. लेकिन हर टॉपिक का एक यूएसपी बना लिया था कि इफ़ द क्वेश्चन इज अबाउट आर्ट एंड कल्चर, देन मुझे कुछ ना कुछ नाइस मतलब डायग्राम्स बनाने ही है. तो अगर द क्वेश्चन इज ऑन टेम्पल आर्किटेक्चर, आई विल ड्रॉ इधर. इफ द क्वेश्चन इज ऑन नागरा स्टाइल, आई विल ड्रॉ ए नागरा स्टाइल का जो भी डायग्राम होता है. अगेन फॉर हिस्ट्री मैंने ऐसे सोचा था मॉडर्न इंडिया के टाइमलाइन ज़रूर मेंशन कर दूंगी, थोड़े ईयर्स स्पेसिफिक रखूंगी अपने आंसर्स, सो दैट कुड हैव हेल्प्ड मी. In society again, a lot of keywords I gathered from here and there, like uh, for women, for inequality faced by women, I used to write keywords like velvet ghetto, pink colorization of jobs. Uh, you're not just writing any usual keyword, but you're also writing some unusual keywords, और वो आपको थोड़े research inquisitiveness से ही मिलेगी, that you are being very inquisitive. कि अगर आपको आपके पास ये keyword है कि women limited in a certain kind of jobs, सो आप उसको एक कीवर्ड दे दीजिए जैसे पिंक कॉलराइजेशन ऑफ जॉब्स. सो दिस इंक्विजिटिवनेस विल डेफिनेटली हेल्प यू इन सोसाइटी. सोसाइटी में टॉपिक वाइज गैदर सम नाइस कोट्स, गैदर सम नाइस एग्जाम्पल्स. जैसे डाइवर्सिटी का एक क्वेश्चन था, तो मैं सोच के गई थी कि जवाहरलाल नेहरू का एक डाइवर्सिटी पे, सर विच आई डोंट रिमेंबर राइट नाउ, बट डाइवर्सिटी के ऊपर ही हैड एन एक्सीलेंट कोट. सो वो मैं ज़रूर लिख के आती थी आंसर्स में. I used to either start the answer with that or conclude my answer with that. और बहुत सारे एग्जाम्पल्स उठाती थी. इफ द टॉपिक इज ऑन रीजनलिज्म, देन फॉर एवरी पॉइंट दैट यू आर मेंशनिंग, you should validate that point with a very nice example. if question है डिमांड फॉर स्टेट ऑटोनॉमी, तो आप उसको एक्सप्लेन जस्ट कोई वेग सेंटेंस से मत कीजिए. जस्ट मे बी राइट कि फॉर एग्जाम्पल डिमांड बाय नागास फॉर द स्टेट ऑफ नागालिम. तो ऐसे कुछ वैलिडेशन होना चाहिए वो वर्ड का. So that is what I used to do for society. Again, for geography maps, तो irrelevant maps नहीं बनाने हैं, लेकिन जिसमें भी मैप बन सकता है बना के आइए. There was this question in mains on isthmus and straits. So I hardly had two, three straits or isthmus in mind, but I took time. I drew the entire world map. वो मैं सोच के गई थी, वो प्रैक्टिस भी करके गई थी वर्ल्ड मैप, और जो भी मुझे दो तीन याद थे, आई जस्ट लोकेटेड देम ऑन द मैप एंड आई केम बैक. So the examiner will understand that you are trying different ways to present an answer. You're not just writing the regular, you're not following a regular pattern to all your answers. So try some tricks here and there. Geography में also practice the Indian map. वो जाके कोई भी क्वेश्चन है ऑन सोलर पावर प्लांट, विंड एनर्जी प्लांट्स, तो हर वो इंडिया के मैप में you should know all these, so that you will be able to locate. So whenever the explanations that you are giving in terms of locational factors or challenges in terms of locations, तो challenges में हमेशा होता है कि confined in a certain belt, और if you have shown that in your map कि यहाँ पे ही ज़्यादा वो concentrated है वो plants, तो the examiner will understand from the diagram itself that you are validating your points. So that must have helped me. uh, so GS1 is gone. Okay. So for GS2, again, my USP was Supreme Court verdicts and articles, committee reports. So I used to use them extensively in my answers. So there was this question this time on environmental judgments, and because मैंने वो पहले से practice किया था, तो मैंने वहाँ पे कुछ mention मैं करके आई. So even if I had not remembered a lot of Supreme Court verdicts, but कुछ NGT के verdicts मुझे याद थे judgments, तो वो मैं लिख के आ गई थी. So that must have helped. और कमिटी रिपोर्ट्स आप ज़रूर फॉलो कीजिए, क्योंकि वो आपके वे फॉरवर्ड में बहुत अच्छे पॉइंट्स देते हैं. जैसे इलेक्टोरल रिफॉर्म्स इफ यू आर राइटिंग, तो वे फॉरवर्ड में यू कैन राइट दिनेश गोस्वामी कमिटी सजेस्टेड दिस सेकंड में आप लिख सकते हैं कि स्टेट फंडिंग ऑफ इलेक्शंस, सो उसको आप एक्सप्लेन करें कि इंद्रजीत सेन गुप्ता कमिटी suggested this. So basically you're writing an answer that shows the examiner that you have prepared a topic very comprehensively. For international relations, again my USP was like taking some statements from Ministry of External Affairs. वो बहुत अच्छे अच्छे statements के साथ हर दिन हर ऑलमोस्ट हर आवर पे कुछ ना कुछ आता रहता है. So I used to take those and mention in my notes, and I used to revise those very thoroughly. So I think इस बार question भी था कि quad या कुछ था, so I used to mention कि it has been alleged as the Marshall Plan by this. So, uh, so this might have, fetched me good marks because I was just not vaguely explaining anything. I was writing some keywords, pointers here and there. I would say कि ये एक ट्रिक मैंने अप्लाई किया था कि even if you don't know the answer, पर आप क्वेश्चन का जो बिट है, जो डिमांड है क्वेश्चन का, उसका सब हेडिंग जरूर लिख लीजिए. जैसे कोई भी क्वेश्चन है कि इस रिपोर्ट में क्या क्या सजेशंस है. सो नाउ आई डोंट नो कि कौन सा रिपोर्ट है, क्या सजेशंस है, पर मैंने लिख लिया जरूर सब हेडिंग्स में रिकमेंडेशंस ऑफ दिस, एंड देन मैंने अपने ही रिकमेंडेशंस उसमें लिख दिए. So that the examiner knows even if he doesn't give you really good marks, he will not give you zero, right? He will give you some marks. So those tricks you can use here and there. It's very utopian when someone says that I have done everything possible, सारे questions मैं अच्छे से लिख के आई हूँ. Actually, I feel that only 8 to 9 questions in the mains exam you write with a lot of, conviction and dedication. Others, so we are just trying to, write kitna jaldi ho sake, so that we are able to finish the paper. But, revise so much that it gets ingrained in your memory. Ki, you are not really thinking when you're writing an answer. So what happened with me was, कि I was not someone who used to finish the paper 5 minutes early. मैं last minute तक ही लिखती थी, तो पूरा 3 घंटा my head used to be down. एंड फिर मैं जब उठाती थी तो इतना बैक पेन होता था, तो नेक्स्ट पेपर्स में आई थॉट दैट आई विल जस्ट लिमिट माई राइटिंग, क्योंकि आई डोंट वांट टू एंड अप सिक वाइल राइटिंग मेंस. तो थोड़ा लिमिट भी किया अपने राइटिंग्स को. एंड दीज थिंग्स यू विल लर्न वाइल सॉल्विंग योर मॉक पेपर्स. So one thing that I did was I religiously followed the test series. I went to the center. I wrote it in that stipulated period of time. I wrote it on the same day that the test was being held. और फिर मैं आके वो वहाँ पे जो भी feedbacks वगैरह mentioned होते थे, I used to incorporate those feedbacks in the next test that I was giving. So that overall, made all the difference. Uh, GS3 में again, use economic survey budget के data points. I had economics as my optional, so that so all these data and all I was preparing for my optional also. But you have to go some go further to gather all this data. Maybe you don't have to read the entire economic survey budget. Sir comes out with crisp videos on economic survey and budget. Go through those and write all the relevant data. Try to use them in your economics answers. अगर क्वेश्चन है on labor force participation rate, you should start, I feel you should start with the data, and it has been brought out by which organization. So that really gives an edge to your answers, I feel. Baki for other papers like science and tech, for disaster management. For science and tech, though, I did not make notes. I only was following current affairs and newspapers. But for these subjects like disaster management, for internal security, go through the syllabus. और वो syllabus में topic wise एक दो पेज के notes बना लीजिए, और वही notes आप बार बार revise कीजिए. लेकिन again, being inquisitive helps. जैसे इंटरनल सिक्योरिटी में there's this topic on naxalism, okay? सो सॉल्यूशंस में था कि रोल ऑफ सिविल सोसाइटी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस। तो मैं थोड़ा गई कि बिकॉज आई बिलोंग टू ओडिशा, कि ओडिशा में ऐसा कौन सा एनजीओ है जो एक्चुअली नक्सलिज्म को टैकल करने में काम कर रहा है, बिकॉज ओडिशा इज एन नक्सलिज्म रिडन स्टेट, राइट? तो वो मैंने वो एक एनजीओ मुझे मिला जिसको मैं आंसर में कोट ज़रूर करके आई। इंटरनल सिक्योरिटी में ऑल्सो इट हेल्प्स दैट यू आर ड्राइंग डायग्राम्स। इस बार देयर वाज अ क्वेश्चन ऑन नक्सलिज्म एंड आई ड्रू द रेड कॉरिडोर का मैप। So those things, try to incorporate as much as possible in your answers. For ethics, yeah, so this is the paper. You don't really have to prepare a lot, but it's very rewarding in terms of scores. So I would say कि इसको थोड़ा टाइम दीजिए, इवन इफ you feel like ethics में तो सब पता है इसमें क्या लिखना है, पर टॉपिक वाइज एक दो पेजेस का नोट्स बनाइए। ट्राई टू हैव एन एक्सीलेंट डेफिनेशन फॉर every topic, and then gather good examples and thode diversified examples. If the topic is integrity, then don't just mention an example of civil servant, but also one example from sports, one example from corporate. तो वैसे करके थोड़ा होलिस्टिक रखिए अपने बॉडी को इन एथिक्स पेपर, एंड ऑल्सो हैव 2-3 कोट्स रेडी फॉर ऑल द टॉपिक्स। जैसे ऑनेस्टी में कुछ मिल गया आपको 3, कंपैशन में 3 मिल गया। तो ऐसे करके फिर व्हेन यू आर एंडिंग दोज आंसर्स, ट्राई टू यूज दीज इन योर कंक्लूजन्स, दैट रियली हेल्प्स। और थोड़ा लिबरली कोट कीजिए सेकेंड ARC, और ये कमिटी वो कमिटी होता कमिटी, कि आईसीटी ट्रेनिंग होना चाहिए सिविल सर्वेंट्स का। सो ऑल दीज ट्राई टू गैदर एज मेनी एग्जाम्पल्स both for in a body and for way forward, so that will give you a comprehensive understanding of subject. Be very conceptually clear with your subjects, like don't just hurriedly try to complete one topic. So agar inflation पे आपको पढ़ाया जा रहा है, then आप then it won't help you that you just know कि what is inflation. It will help you that you know कि इंडिया में अभी क्या रेट चल रहा है, इन्फ्लेशन टारगेटिंग क्या है, इन्फ्लेशन टारगेटिंग किस बेसिस पे होता है, व्हाट इज द मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी कमिटी, रेपो रेट हमारा क्या रेंज है। तो थोड़ा थोड़ा एक्सपेरिमेंट कीजिए अपने आप के साथ, थोड़ा रिफ्लेक्शन कीजिए फॉर ऑल द टॉपिक्स दैट यू आर स्टडिंग, एंड दिस विल गिव यू अ वेरी नाइस फंडामेंटल अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ ऑल द सब्जेक्ट्स। सो मैंने एक्चुअली सर एक सोचा था कि 2 बार प्रीलिम्स नहीं हुए, लेकिन द नेक्स्ट टाइम आई क्लियर प्रीलिम्स, मेरा फंडामेंटल्स इतने स्ट्रांग हो कि आई शुड नॉट फॉल्टर एट एनी स्टेज। मेरा मेंस और इंटरव्यू के लिए मेरा कॉन्सेप्ट्स बिल्कुल क्लियर हो, एंड आई थिंक दैट मस्ट हैव हेल्प्ड। क्योंकि प्रीलिम्स में क्या होता है कि जैसे आई मिस्ड माई सेकेंड प्रीलिम्स बाय लेस देन 2 मार्क्स, तो अगर एक भी क्वेश्चन मेरा करेक्ट हो जाता तो मैं उस पार होती। लेकिन 2022 में मैंने ऐसा सोचा था कि ठीक है, आई हैव गॉट द टाइम राइट नाउ, just let me very thorough with my subjects, and I'm sure if I'm getting a chance to write mains, I should be able to write good answers. सी सेट हमारे टाइम में ऐसा था कि इफ़ यू हैव सॉल्व 10-11 years के पेपर्स, then very like religiously, if you have followed 10-11 years के papers, you will be able to like score decently well in CSAT, because that's what I did. But this year CSAT has been really tough, and ये इस बार ऐसा हो गया कि सर CSAT क्लियर किया तो that's an achievement in itself. But CSAT में भी आप अभी के डिफिकल्टी लेवल के हिसाब से आई सजेस्ट दैट टेक अप अ बुक एंड ट्राई टू डू CSAT एवरी संडे। कोई भी मैथ्स के 2 टॉपिक्स एवरी संडे आप ख़त्म कीजिए, मे बी प्रॉफिट लॉस, इंटरेस्ट, परमिटेशन, कॉम्बिनेशन। और फिर वैसे ही आप एवरी संडे अगर 1 साल करेंगे तो by the time you are appearing for prelims, I think you should be in a good condition to clear CSAT. Another learning that I would mention to you is, I never considered myself to be very proficient in either comprehension or either mathematics. So I considered myself decently okay in both comprehension and maths. So I approached the CSAT paper question wise. I did not have this in mind that I'll first solve maths, then I'll come to comprehension. Because what happens is sometimes the comprehension is very difficult and sometimes the maths part is very difficult. So इस बार भी ऐसा हुआ है कि people started with maths and by the time they came to comprehension they had less time to solve the comprehension part, but the comprehension part was easier this time. So आप वो भी कर सकते हैं कि you can just solve question wise and then try to complete the paper and not just go with a set strategy in mind. Decide that according to the difficulty nature of the examination. Maybe that. So first prelims, I told you that I had just come back from doing my masters. So within 10-15 days, I went and sat in the prelims. So that that failure, I didn't take it to heart. But sir, the 2021 prelims, I remember the results came out in October 2021, and sir, I was totally devastated because I was somehow expecting that I'll get in, and said if I've not gotten by less than 2 marks, then you sir understand. No, I was in that hanging zone. So I was totally dejected. So days and days went in crying and everything. Telling all my friends that God knows what came into me that I started preparing for this examination. So मैं अपने family को भी I used to go and say कि do you really consider me to be your enemies that you asked me to prepare for this examination? So all these thoughts really came into my mind. But to be very realistic, when you are facing your lowest, when you're at the lowest point of your lowest points, if then you have decided to get back up and start preparing again, I always say that you have won half the battle there itself, because it's impossible to pick yourself up after a failure. But if somehow you manage to do that, be it some external motivation, be it some internal motivation, so all these things will really shape you as a person when you become an officer itself, because this is just the beginning. Okay, after this you're going to face so many challenges, so many emotional turmoils. So understand that this is a part of the process. Yeah, yes, I think I missed the essay part. So for essay, what I did was because I had already prepared my GS subjects well. I tried to follow that GS strategy for essay. Um, so I'll give you an example. There was this topic that I had written in one of the test series. That's the only example I'm able to remember right now, so I'll mention it. Conversation enriches understanding, but solitude is the school of genius. So, this is a very philosophical topic again, and you won't really understand how to write a 14-15 page essay to this, right? So, what I did was there were two parts to this essay: conversation enriches understanding, and solitude is the school of genius. So, I mentioned two scenarios first. In scenario one, I had read a book sometime in the past, The Man Who Knew Infinity. It is the autobiography of Srinivas Ramanujan. So, in the scenario one, I mentioned about his story that he was not able to understand how he was coming up with these formulas. He thought this as the blessing of Lord Murugan. So I mentioned that, but only after his conversations with a professor from Cambridge, Professor Hardy, he understood that all these formula that he was creating, these are actually mathematical formulas. So that is how the conversation between both of them enriched his understanding. In scenario 2, I mentioned Buddha, that after 40 days of totally isolating himself, going into this proper meditation, he attained enlightenment, right? So, all of this he was doing in solitude. So, I mentioned these two scenarios in the intro, and then I mentioned that conversation enriches understanding, but also sometimes solitude is the ultimate genius. But when I started the body, uh, I went GS wise. So, GS1 में पहले क्या होता है कि एंशियंट मिडियवल. सो एंशियंट से मैंने उठाया एग्जाम्पल जो सभाज एंड समितिज होते थे उस पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम में. सो वो क्या करते थे, दोज वर एसेंशियली कॉन्वर्सेशंस, राइट? जो लर्नेड मैन होते थे, विलेज में लोग होते थे, तो आई स्टार्टेड विद दोज कि सिंस टाइम्स इमेमोरियल वी हैव ऑलवेज फोकस्ड ऑन कॉन्वर्सेशंस एज द सोर्स ऑफ अंडरस्टैंडिंग। लाइकवाइज जैसे भी सभा समितिज का मेंशन कर दिया। फिर उसके बाद आई वेंट इनटू मिडिएवल। आई डोंट रिमेम्बर सर, there was this religious gathering that Akbar used to do, right? हाँ, जिससे फिर वो दिन इलाही निकल के आया। सो रिलीजियस प्रोफेट्स, रिलीजियस स्कॉलर्स के साथ वो बैठते थे। सो आई यूज टू मेंशन लाइक वन एग्जाम्पल फ्रॉम दैट। फिर मैं आई टू वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री, जेफरसन डिबेट और क्या क्या सब था वो थोड़ा लिख लिया। एंड मॉडर्न इंडिया में ये जो इंडियन नेशनल कांग्रेस, that was essentially a gathering of the intellectuals, right? So how these conversations enrich their understanding, how we moved to this era where this age of enlightenment and intelligentsia, how that blew up after INC। तो वो सब एक एग्जाम्पल लिख लिया। एंड देन आई वेंट टू सोसाइटी कि अभी भी जैसे क्या जो भी women organizations होते हैं, कुछ एग्जाम्पल्स उनके मेंशन कर लिए। पॉलिटी में आई वेंट टू द कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली। ऐसे कर करके पहले आई मेंशन कि कॉन्वर्सेशन enriches understanding, but there are two parts to this essay, right? So you also have to mention कि conversations किस टाइम पे सबसे अच्छा नहीं होता। तो मुझे उस टाइम पे कुछ ही मिल रहे थे एग्जाम्पल, सो आई हैड रिटन कि ये जो खाप पंचायत है, तो वो एसेंशियली हमारे लिए अच्छे है नहीं। वो हमारी अंडरस्टैंडिंग एनरिच नहीं करते, वो हमारे अंडरस्टैंडिंग को एक गलत डायरेक्शन में लेके चले जाते हैं। सो आई मेंशन दैट एग्जाम्पल। आई ऑल्सो मेंशन कि जो रिलेटिव्स के साथ अगर ज़्यादा आप कॉन्वर्सेशंस करने लगे, तो द काइंड ऑफ जजमेंट्स दे गिव यू अबाउट योर अपीयरेंस, अबाउट योर अबाउट योर एकेडमिक्स, तो वो कैसे अच्छा नहीं होता। सो आई ट्राई टू बैलेंस both the aspects, okay? देन आई वेंट इनटू सॉलिट्यूड इज द स्कूल ऑफ जीनियस, एंड उस पे मैंने स्टार्ट किया कि I remember there was this quote by Stephen Hawking or somebody that quietest minds make the loudest noise. तो वो मैंने कोट से शुरू किया। एंड फिर आई वेंट टू एलॉन मस्क एग्जाम्पल। ही कोई कभी एक उनका इंटरव्यू देखा था कि 24 से 20 to 22 hours he was just confined in his room where he was working on his dream project, which is the Tesla, but eventually he became successful, right? So आप उसमें उसको भी थोड़ा लिख सकते हो कि solitude कितना मतलब how is it a school of genius, but then again balance it कि why solitude is not good as well। like solitude में क्या होता है कि if you're not socializing enough, right? If you're not speaking to the right people, then आप various perspectives अपने दिमाग में नहीं ला पाते हो। I knew someone who told me very very weird things about the role of women and everything. So because that person did not have a lot of friends, so maybe I always thought that it's because of his lack of understanding that he's not able to maybe understand the exact nature of women empowerment। सो वैसे आप एग्जाम्पल थोड़े बहुत ला सकते हो कि अगर आप अपने बिलीफ पे इतना रिजिड रहेंगे, दैट इज ऑल्सो सॉलिट्यूड, राइट? कि आप सॉलिट्यूड में है, किसी के भी बात आप नहीं सुन रहे, कोई और पर्सपेक्टिव्स यू आर नॉट टेकिंग इनटू माइंड, सो दैट इज नॉट हाउ इट वर्क्स। तो उस पे फिर बैलेंस कर दिया। फिर एंड में कुछ अच्छा कंक्लूजन लिख के कि कॉन्वर्सेशन डेफिनेटली एनरिचेस अंडरस्टैंडिंग, बट समटाइम्स लाइक आप हर वक्त भी कॉन्वर्सेशंस में ना घुस के just try to listen to your inner voice, and that will sometimes come with solitude। जैसे after this prelims, although I had conversations with a lot of people, but when I went to sleep I tried to have a conversation with myself that why do I really want to do this, why do I really want to put myself through this entire process of preparation, and that only comes when you try to answer all your questions by yourself। तो वो करके फिर you try to conclude an essay, and last में if possible just add a nice पोएम और समथिंग, 3-4 लाइंस का मैं अपने से ही बना के कुछ ना कुछ लिख लेती थी। So yeah, I think so. That's the strategy for essay. That's according to me. I think I explained it to you with an example. Thank you so much.
Hello.
Thank you,
Hello.
everybody.